Hi there, and welcome to the weekly Asylum and Immigration Reform Update, where I share with you 5 recent stories of interest to asylum seekers and those who want to stay current on immigration news. This week, we're discussing
Trump administration ends immigration protections for 4 nations. Trump moves against lawyers representing immigrants and opposing policies. Appeals court permits partial halt to refugee admissions during ongoing litigation. Federal judge stops deportation of Columbia University activist with permanent residency. Trump administration requires social media information from immigrants seeking status adjustments.
I'm Brian Manning, and I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now, as an asylum lawyer, I help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. It's my pleasure to bring you asylum and immigration reform updates each week right here on the Political Asylum Lawyers YouTube channel. Okay, let's get to the news. First up,
by late April, the Trump administration will end an immigration program that provided legal status and work permits to 532,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. In her announcement, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem stated the program was terminated because it failed to improve border security and instead created a substantial population of aliens in the interior of the United States without a clear path to a durable status. This action is one component of President Trump's broader immigration crackdown, which also targets temporary protected status for Haitians and Venezuelans, affecting an estimated 1.1 million people. The decision has drawn criticism from immigrant advocacy organizations, with Guerline Joseph of the Haitian Bridge Alliance calling it a war on poor, black and brown people who dared to seek safety. Currently, 3 federal lawsuits have been filed to block the termination of temporary protected status, with hearings scheduled in early April. Noem's filing contends that the program burdened local communities as immigrants competed for limited resources, including housing, education, and public benefits.
And next up, for update number 2,
a new memorandum from President Trump instructs the Justice Department to pursue sanctions against lawyers who represent immigrants or bring cases against his administration. Trump's directive to Attorney General Pam Bondi alleges that attorneys are fueling rampant fraud and meritless claims in the immigration system and filing baseless partisan lawsuits against the government. Under the order, legal professionals and law firms that challenge his policies could be stripped of security clearances and federal contracts. The initiative has prompted outrage from civil liberties organizations, with ACLU attorney Ben Wisner stating it seeks to chill and intimidate legal professionals who challenge the president's agenda. Lawsuits challenging Trump's administration on issues including immigration, transgender rights, and other issues have exceeded 100 since the beginning of his second term. Security clearances for attorneys at several major firms, including Perkins Coie, Paul Weiss, and Covington and Burling, have already been revoked by Trump, who cited their past work for his political opponents. In a recent development, Paul Weiss reached an agreement to have the order against it lifted by committing $40 million in free legal work supporting administration causes.
All right, time for our third immigration update.
In a recent decision, the Federal Appeals Court permitted the Trump administration to halt approving new refugees for entry into the United States while requiring the government to allow the resettlement of those who were conditionally approved before the president suspended the refugee admission system. The ruling, issued by a 3-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, modified a previous ruling from a Seattle federal judge who had ordered the entire program restarted. Citing precedent for presidential authority to limit entry, the appeals court referenced the Supreme Court's 2018 decision upholding Trump's travel ban from several mostly Muslim countries. Refugee assistance organizations, including Church World Service, HIS, and Lutheran Community Services Northwest, initiated the legal challenge, contending that Trump's order severely inhibited their ability to provide critical services. The earlier decision by Judge Jamal Whitehead had emphasized reports of refugees stranded in dangerous places, separated families, and people who sold their possessions for now canceled travel to the United States.
And moving right along, update number 4.
Immigration authorities have been barred by a federal judge from proceeding with the detention of Yoon Seo Chung, a 21-year-old Columbia University student who claims she is being targeted for her pro-Palestinian activism. After university officials alerted Chung that immigration agents were seeking to detain her, she initiated legal action, resulting in Judge Naomi Buchwald issuing the restraining order. According to Chung's lawyers, her green card was revoked at the direction of Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the basis that her presence in the United States was undermining U.S. foreign policy. This incident mirrors similar deportation efforts against another Columbia student, Mahmoud Khalil, and Georgetown researcher Badar Suri, both currently in immigration custody in Louisiana. The plaintiffs in all 3 lawsuits argue that these detentions violate First Amendment free speech rights. Meanwhile, Cornell University graduate student Momo Dotal is pursuing similar legal protection, citing concerns about 2 executive orders issued by President Trump to address anti-Semitism in what appears to be a related but distinct case.
And finally, our 5th immigration update for this week.
A new proposal from the Trump administration would make it mandatory for immigrants already in the United States to submit their social media handles when applying for green cards, citizenship, or asylum. This policy, which expands on an existing requirement that previously only affected visa applicants abroad, would affect approximately 3.5 million people annually, including many who have lived in the country for decades. According to United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, this data collection is essential for enhanced identity verification, vetting, and national security screening. The measure raises particular concerns for Muslim and Arab applicants, especially those who have shown support for Palestinian rights, according to warnings from civil rights advocates. In its justification, the proposal explicitly mentions Trump's January executive order targeting immigrants with allegedly hostile attitudes toward American government and institutions. One major point of contention is that the administration has not outlined limitations on how the collected data will be used, leading critics to worry about chilling free speech among immigrants and potential continued surveillance even after naturalization. Members of the public have until May 5 to submit their feedback on the proposed policy.
And that wraps up this week's immigration news. If you want to win asylum in the United States, then you should call my office today. We help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you are. Call us now to schedule an asylum strategy session so that we can help you to secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and it's an honor to serve you in your immigration journey.